Well, why not? I feel like I'm in a talkative mood at the moment, so I might as well bang a couple of these out. So, welcome back to TwoSun Tuesday. And today we're kind of taking a look at a vintage-er kind of knife. However, these were re-released, obviously, as we can tell with the titanium lightning strike kind of anodization. This is the TS17-C for color. But yes, this was a very, very old knife from NightMorning Design here. Let's go ahead and open them up, and we got some strange looking beast here. We have a 3.52-inch blade here, or 89.5 millimeters. In this case, it's D2. We can definitely tell it's a bit more of a, recent manufactured one due to due to the model number being printed on the blade. There we go. Hey, I got it out. You might not be proud of me, but I'm proud of me. All right, we got pivot colors here, the call out ones. Pretty sure they were on the first ones, but I couldn't really tell you one way or the other. It's possible they used a larger pivot color that kind of used those weird tri notch things that they actually do make some tools for. I got this from White Mountain Knives. I don't know if TwoSun themselves made them. I never saw them for sale, but picked one up just because. So yeah, this thing strange. We got 3.8 millimeter blade stock thickness, pretty normal for TwoSun standards, and we have a little bit of a chamfer on both sides there for your little index finger to have a little landing patch there. So there we go. That ends up working out all right. The handle on this guy, it does work for me. I do get a full 4-finger grip, or at least 3.5-ish kind of thing. Either way, it feels secure in my hands, but maybe just slightly on the small side. However, with it being over a 3.5-inch blade, we can definitely tell that the blade length to handle ratio is a bit more equal than a lot of others, whereas usually a 3.3-inch blade from a lot of companies will have pretty close to a 4-inch handle on there for me to get all four of my fingers, all sorts of up on there. We have a pretty gradual plunge grind, but it does end basically right before, depending on exactly how the light ends up hitting it. But yeah, right before that edge. And we do have a recurve and then a compound grind here for kind of the arced top. Kind of kind of a little bit of a strange guy there. Since it still has a drop point kind of thing going on there on the end, does make it decently useful. And you can pretty easily get your finger in there if you are trying to scrape things off, like a sticker, or trying to strip some paint or lacquer off of wood or something like that. If you have a decent enough amount of care, you can easily do that. But yeah, we have a saber grind for that. So this recurve section here, it's a little thicker than we've kind of grown to know with TwoSun, but this is a fairly old design, and they used to grind their blades much thicker geometry than they do today. And yeah, out here it is a bit thinner. It's not thicker at the tip than it is back here. Still, you can end up getting a lot of work done there. The recurve does make that easy if you want to hook it inside something. For me, it really helps out with a lot of cardboard or something like that. If you're worried about slipping out or something, it's a little easier for it to catch and gather things into it, and you can feel the blade start to lift up a little bit if it's going to slip out or something like that. So that helps out a little bit. However, this is a recurve. So if you are using a fixed angle sharpening system, especially one with wider stones on it, this isn't really going to be super easy for you to end up doing. I've basically sharpened this on my belt grinding system because Those belts actually can curve and accommodate recurves much better than any kind of flat stone can. Not saying that you couldn't necessarily do this, especially if you had like the work sharp precision adjust, the original one with like the half-inch stones or something like that. As long as you weren't sawing up and down, but constantly making sweeps, you could probably get away with it, but it's going to be a little bit more annoying than it would otherwise be. Well, yeah, there we are with that. Something else I would personally like, we have just a little bit of chamfering on either side, but we have no lock bar access whatsoever. And because this one is their kind of anodized titanium, they put a fairly high polish on there. This thing is not the easiest thing to close up. Um, and if you had gloves on, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. You might be able to get your finger in there on that fuller, but it really depends on exactly how large your finger is. I could just barely do it, but I think if someone might have a smaller middle finger than me, it might be a little bit easier overall. Still, this is nicely contoured. We have some nice micro milling at the tops and bottoms to help out a little bit with some grip. We have a decent back spacer here with some crenellations on there. And I can just barely get to the absolute heel there by digging my fingernail into there. But it is thick enough that, if I purposely wanted to cut myself right now, I could get my finger in there and then slide forward, and it could get me just a little bit. But this is nowhere near as egregious as some others are. The pocket clip on this guy also kind of interesting, where it has that top and bottom micro milling, kind of matches it a bit. It's not very long, and because of that, it's actually quite stiff. It is a little bit more difficult to end up getting this. Not necessarily into the pocket, that's all right, but getting it out, it does kind of grab onto it a little bit more. And of course, this one being one of their first kind of designed frame locks, we can see the hardened steel insert there is a heck of a lot larger than it is on most of their others, where we can see a large steel portion up top there rather than the titanium going all the way up and the steel only coming about halfway up that side to kind of hide it a little bit. It still acts as an over travel stop though, so yeah. Not a bad knife. It is very interestingly designed. I have seen a couple of kind of recurvy, kind of tanto-y guys in my day. This one, to me, gives me a little bit of weird Spyderco Captain vibes. Yes, everyone gasped in horror at the absolute ridiculousness that I've ended up doing to this thing over the years. But the same basic blade shape is all there, sort of thing. It's a recurve, with a kind of a snub nose. This one's has a little bit more of a tip to it. But yeah, it's kind of what it reminds me of. But larger for NightMorning usually makes larger knives, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's not a huge amount of downsides to it outside of trying to sharpen that recurve and all that sort of stuff. Let's go over a couple other statistics here. This guy has 4.37 ounces or 124 grams. Might be just a little bit heavy for a knife that kind of looks about this. We do have a little bit of weight relieving going on. At least on the show side. No, there is a little bit on the lock bar side as well. I wouldn't, it's just something that's personal preference. I wouldn't mind having the lock bar relief being internal, just to keep that aesthetic nice and the same on both sides. But it's something that almost all manufacturers opt to just do it that way because, well, that was the way that Chris Reeve did it on his integral locks, and well, they don't really want to mess with that for the most part. And for the most part, they don't really need to. It's just something I kind of appreciate from an aesthetic standpoint. And last but not least, we have exactly 0.50 inch handle thickness at the thickest point here, or 12.8 millimeters, which is pretty darn close to the Spyderco PM2. Speaking of, how about if we go ahead and do some of those blade size comparisons? It would help if I actually opened up the correct drawer for said knives. There we go. There's the said Spyderco PM2, which we can see definitely has maybe a little bit less blade, but because of that finger choil, the handle's much longer on it. But we can go ahead and pull out the Paramilitary 3 that has around the same handle length to it, but much less blade cutting ability there, or length, not necessarily ability. Let's see. Why not? We got the Spyderco Manix 2XL there. Pretty big knife. We also got the Endura. You know what? Something that I can do as well, maybe it might help some people out, is there's a Spyderco Native. That's the one in M4 blade steel or whatever with the teal handles there. But there you go. That's the Native 5, which I did always kind of remember these guys as being a little bit larger, but it's possible that I am much more thinking and remembering a Native 4 a little bit more. But there we go. There's the Benchmade 940. We got some fairly similar ratios going on there. And then pretty similar here with the Griptilian 2. This is right around the same kind of sizes. A little bit thicker handle on the Griptilian there. Thinner blade stock, but a thicker grind as well, so that's a little interesting. Pull out even more knives. Here's the rat number 1. Hopefully these guys continue to be made, since Ontario Knife Company has just recently been acquired, unfortunately, and kind of up in the air what might or might not remain from their production things as they're switching over to different manufacturing. But I have seen the Blade HQ does have some of these rat number 1s in S35 VN, but they're not in red G10, they're in some other color. Maybe it's blue or gray or something like that. Can't quite remember. But either way, I will definitely keep my eye on that because the rat number 1 is a fantastic knife. And, well, here we go with some of the smaller ones. We got the K-Bar Dozier and the Civivi Elementum. So, alrighty, we have gone through all sorts of blade size comparisons. I've got my thoughts out about it. I wouldn't mind having some jimping up top there. I always appreciate having some sort of grip up top, just to keep my thumb from sliding possibly too far forward if I am putting a lot of force into it or something like that. But yeah, outside of that, we are going to, of course, take this guy apart and see what's going on the inside of him. If that's not something you're interested in, feel free to find something else that's a little bit more entertaining for you. But for the rest of us, let's go ahead and do this. So we can pull that pocket clip off, and it screws basically just into the just into the titanium. A lot more newer ones, they will actually incorporate them into one of these Chicago screws, but that's not kind of the case in this particular knife here. This guy is a bit seized up, unfortunately. That's just kind of how it came. I can make it happen, hopefully. Yes, but I will require an additional piece of hardware here. Good old gator grip, so I can get that head locked in over here and grab it with the other T8 on the other side. There we go. And then we got the pivot screw, as long as we don't slip out of the hole. Nobody likes a sloppy hole, especially the ladies. That's a quote from an old movie called Fear of a Black Hat. If you're unfamiliar, definitely want to look into it. It's a fantastic movie. But yeah, here we are. We got this guy with the D-shaped pivot, which this is an older one. Or actually, no, yeah, this was changed up a bit. So the D shape, we can see that little notch there. So it is on the show side, makes that a lot easier to deal with. And then this guy in particular did come with a little bit of a grunge kind of going on, but only on the opposite side of the bearing race. I just kind of left it because it didn't really seem like it was doing anything bad necessarily. I just popped out the other bearing race there. That's fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and pull out my trusty gigantic magnet. See if I can't find where the hell that rolled off to. I'm not having good luck, am I? Oop. That was that. Hopefully I'll remember to cut some of that out. But yeah, there we go with that. And yep, we can see we got a little bit of weight relieving going on there. We do have a detent ramp on this guy here. And internal blade stop pin, which I always like to see, unless it's actually kind of jacked up, which I haven't seen very often, but I have now seen one loose here on a newer TwoSun that I've already talked about before, and actually seen one that was a little bit too tight and actually kind of jacked up the blade a little bit on a different knife. But by and large, most companies, including TwoSun, end up doing a good job with it. So there we go with that. Let's try and do my best to keep my wrist out of that so we don't have a whole bunch of weird focus things going on with the camera. Yep, and then this guy is always going to give me at least a little bit of problems, but it's easy enough to take care of. Generally not something that I'd like to have to take care of, but yeah, it's at least easy enough to screw back in. It's just requires a little bit more force to do that. The screw wasn't seized like I had said earlier, so it's a little bit better than I originally said there. But yeah, there we go. We're all back together. All sorts of nice action. Looks pretty much centered. Yeah, looks like we're good. So, alrighty. Yep, that is the kind of remake or reissue of the TS17, which was a really, really old, early NightMorning design here. He's definitely done some things in newer knives that have helped out a little bit as far as some design things are concerned, like lock bar access, getting a little bit more jimping on the back of blades. That'll help out quite a bit. It's also done a bit better than having this pyramidal point on a clip. Makes it easier to get both in and out of the pocket. But overall, it's not a bad knife, and I'm happy to have it in my collection because it is just a little bit out there, but still pretty darn useful. But alrighty, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. And if you're still here, like I said in some other previous videos, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm not asking or begging anybody for it, but, maybe just not whispering at the end might help out just a little bit. So I'm just giving it a shot here. Alrighty. Catch y'all later.